Hi, and welcome back to Self Care Black Girls, a podcast where we relax, sip tea, and chat about bettering ourselves as black girls. I'm BB, and I'll be helping guide you to make better choices in your daily lives. So, welcome back to another episode. So today's episode is going to be about knowing when to stop. And I want to elaborate a little bit on this because in a couple of days, in an upcoming episode, I'm going to be talking about how to recover from a burnout. So I kind of want to use this episode as how to prevent that, and also how to prevent other things, because you can suffer from other conditions. I'm not exactly sure the proper term for it, but you can suffer from other conditions if you don't put a limit on how much you do in a day or an hour or whatever your situation may be. So that's that. So I'm gonna hop right into the episode. I don't really have any talking points. I'm really just gonna be talking based off of experience, because there was a point, actually only from what I can tell, since I've gotten to college, that I had to learn the hard way to put a cap on things, that I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not a machine. Some things just won't get done when I want them to get done. And I had to learn that the hard way. I was staying up all types of hours of the night, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, doing homework. Not because it was late, but because I wanted to get it done early. So in many of the cases, I wasn't actually behind in the homework. I just wanted to get ahead. And in some of the cases, I was trying to... Sorry, I heard a strange noise. In some of the cases, I was trying to catch up, but I wasn't behind, if that makes sense. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but I wasn't behind in the work. I was just trying to catch up to where we were. That makes absolutely no sense, but we're gonna rock with it. I'm sorry. I'm in my dorm room. I'm pretty sure you heard whoever that was, but it's fine. So knowing when to stop. The first tip that I can give you is to look at your calendar and compile a to-do list of things that absolutely, no matter what, have to get done that day. So, say for instance, you've got a total of 10 assignments due between Monday and Saturday at 11:59. But only 3 of those assignments are due on, let's say it's Monday night, it's Sunday night, and you're looking at the schedule for the week. Only 3 of those assignments have to be done on Monday. So what you would do is, on Sunday night, you would write down those 3 assignments that you have to get done tomorrow, and that would be the only 3 things that you work on Monday. Now, if you're lucky and those assignments are shorter, then maybe you can move on to 1 or 2 of Tuesdays. But if they're not, like in my case, they usually wouldn't be. You only do those 3 assignments. And when those 3 assignments are done, as far as I'm concerned, your work day is done. Your school day, whatever you want to call it. Don't have so much on your plate that you start to procrastinate because of how much work you have. That's not what we want. That's not the goal. That's going to lead to further issues. It's going to cause a burnout and many other things. So don't do that. Another thing that you can do, going based off of that to-do list that you just compiled, is to set a timer for, I don't know, however long you're comfortable working straight in a row. So like for me, I can go about 45 minutes to an hour working on an assignment before I get either bored or I start to get frustrated. So what I would do is I set a timer for an hour, and when that hour is up, I take a 20 to 30 minute break because I was working for an hour. So you can adjust your break time to however long you work. If you can work for 30 minutes straight without, before getting frustrated or bored, then take a 10-minute break. And, however long you work, you want to have, a decent amount, at least 5 minutes for every 10 minutes you work, if that makes sense. So if you work for 30 minutes, then I would say at minimum a 15-minute break between working, something like that. Come up with a system that works for you, because that will not only help you focus better, but it will also make sure that you aren't overworking yourself, because once that hour hits, it's break time. And I would switch it up a bit. I wouldn't always do, like, for me, an hour. I will sometimes drop to 45 minutes. If I'm feeling energized and I've had coffee that day, I might bump it up to an hour and 15 minutes, because sometimes I can actually go that far, especially if I'm doing an assignment that I actually like. So you have to kind of learn your habits, know when you start to get frustrated, know when you start to get bored, because being bored and or frustrated while working on an assignment will definitely lead to you having a burnout. And I'll get more in depth about what a burnout is in this future episode. I think it's in like 5 weeks, which sounds far, but that's just 5 episodes from now. So work in increments, take breaks, make a to-do list. And if your issues don't revolve around work or school, you need to know when to step away from a situation is basically what I'm saying. If you feel that you're arguing with, and it's very evident that the person you're arguing with is not yielding, they're not paying you any attention, they're not giving your points any thought, just stop arguing and walk away. If you're not in any immediate danger. I mean, obviously, if you're in fear of being physically harmed, you might want to de-escalate the situation or run. But no, seriously, I'm laughing, but don't put yourself in harm's way. So know how to, read the room. But if you aren't in any immediate danger, just walk away. There's no need to argue with somebody who clearly is stuck in their ways and isn't going to pay you any attention, even though you're making complete sense, if that makes sense. You're wasting your time, because you're not wasting their time, because obviously they're sitting there arguing with you about something stupid, or maybe the situation isn't stupid, but they're making stupid points. Nothing they're saying is making sense. Obviously, it's not wasting their time. So you're wasting your time by standing there and giving them exactly what they want, the attention that you're feeding them. So just walk away from the situation. And the same thing goes for any other situation. But you need to know when to take a break, to cut the ties, cut the string, turn the lights off, walk away from your desk or office. Just, if it's time, it's time. And going back to the working homework or a desk. And I'm sorry I'm jumping around so much in this episode. But like I said, I'm kind of earballing. I don't know. Still hadn't come up with the word for that about this episode. But if after, 5 or 6 sessions of doing your increments, you're working for 30 minutes and then you're taking a break and then you're working for 30 minutes again. If you've done that over and over again, and you feel that you're not able to get back into the flow of things, like at the start of your 30-minute work session, you're frustrated already or you're bored already, then it's time to call the day. There is no sense in working on something that you're constantly getting bored with or you're constantly getting frustrated with. However, if you're in a situation where the work is due that day, I suggest taking a gigantic break. And I mean like a couple of hours. Just walk away from whatever it is and then come back to it. And at that point, you're going to kind of have to force yourself to get finished with it. The best thing to do to solve issues like this and to not be put in situations like this is to try to work on these assignments or projects before they're due. If you're in a situation like me where, well, I'm not really a situation, but if you're in a class or your job is set up where you know what you're going to be doing at least a week out, then you might want to plan for that. Make sure you're not giving yourself too much to do over the weekend or on any given day. But that's all that I have because I can feel myself about to start rambling. But this episode was actually a lot longer than I originally thought it was going to be. But as I started talking, it just started coming to me all at once. So thank you all so much for listening. I don't think I have any announcements, but thank you all so much for listening. I don't think I mentioned this in the beginning, but I do have a big announcement coming up soon. So make sure you're checking Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Speaking of, I need to go make a post. Make sure you're keeping up with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you will hear about, if you're keeping up with my social media, you'll hear about it before everybody who's just listening will. So I highly suggest you either follow me on Instagram at Selfcare Black Girls, on Twitter at Selfcare B Girls. I think it's girls. I'm pretty sure it's girls. Or you can join my Facebook group. It's just Self-Care Black Girls, like the title of the podcast. But like I said earlier, thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you all next week. Bye. Thank you all so much for listening this week. If you have any questions, comments, stories, or tips, and you'd like to share them with me, email me at selfcarebgirl@gmail.com. If you'd like to help other people find this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes to help get the word out. If iTunes isn't your preferred method of listening, you can also find us on Spotify, YouTube, and many more streaming platforms. If you'd like to interact with other listeners or keep up with announcements and giveaways, you should follow me on Instagram at Selfcare Black Girls. Join the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Selfcare Black Girls, or follow me on Twitter at SelfcareBGirls. Don't forget, you all still have the option to donate by either visiting my Patreon link or my merch link in the bio of my Instagram and Twitter. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you all next week. Bye.